Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner, and today we're reviewing the MVP Open. Time is finally. We're previewing and reviewing and looking forward and looking back.
Wow.
Why do they call it like... No, never mind.
Before we get into today's show, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor, us, FoundationDisc.com. The vintage collection. I mainly just want to tell you the vintage collection is dropping this weekend.
It is.
People have been asking.
I better get my wallet out.
People have been asking for the old school hat, hoodies, all that to come back. We brought all that back and more using the vintage logo. So pretty excited for that. That's going to be dropping this weekend. The Athena also should come out this week. I believe we're getting our stock in here in a day or two. And nice. We added a recently restocked collection to the front page, so you always know exactly what's getting added to the site each and every day. So if you're bored, you can just go check that out. FoundationDisc.com. And if you haven't subscribed to our email newsletter, you can do that over there as well, and you'll be the first to get an email as soon as all this stuff happens. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to that before we got into the actual nitty-gritty of MVP. But now it's time to do that.
What's the nitty-gritty about it?
Well, let's talk about the course.
Give me the nit and then give me the grit.
Have y'all seen the changes they made to the courses?
No, sir.
No.
Oh, it's crazy.
No, there's no change.
As far as I know, there's not a change.
I looked at it today.
I haven't heard of any changes. I think last at GMC I said I hadn't heard of any changes, and there was like one small change to like hole 13.
Something
like that.
I literally looked at it and I was
courses like this, like
why would you change it?
Why fix it if it ain't broke? Like I could see them moving some tee pads or something to where like from the fan perspective we don't really notice it being changed. They've made changes in the past to the course to make it better.
It's one of the courses that actually does function correctly.
But yeah, it's an iconic course at this point, and very excited for them to be there.
Is there any OB on this course?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Where? Yeah, like that's what the only thing that they would change would be like
hole
OB
one,
lines, right?
The rock wall that's on like some of those wooded holes where it's like that whole right side on like 2 or 3 of the holes.
That's right.
Rock wall and beyond 18. There's a decent bit of OB on 18. 14's over the water, throwing that hyzer.
Yeah, the water. There's a couple water carries.
Yeah,
2,
I would always
3?
expect like
2, just 2.
I would almost
3,
expect
8.
Just like there to be changes to OB for like every tournament.
Yeah, but with this course, how it's laid out is most of the OBs like naturally defined. They also have that forehand over the water. There's a lot of water because they have the forehand over, then they have that downhill tunnel shot that's looking at the water.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
I've got a proposal here.
Propose me.
So
I do.
Smaller field than normal.
Yes.
However, still a good bit of people, but there's also 4 rounds of golf being played. So there's going to be a lot so hole 8 is going to be played.
There's 76 MPO players.
Hole 8 is going to be played like close to 300 times. Well, with the cut, a little less than that, maybe 250.
Are we sure there's a cut?
I'm only saying that because there was in the last event.
I would be surprised if there wasn't.
But anyways, so it's going to be played a lot of times. I think we should make a points bet related to will there be an ace on hole 8 during the whole tournament. Anybody. Doesn't have to be on camera, anything.
Yes,
for MP, just for MPO.
There will definitely be an ace on hole 8.
Konner, what do you think? I'm just going to gauge where everybody's at with that thought.
I think there will definitely be.
I mean, it makes sense to me that there would be an ace on hole 8, but I also don't want to just give you points.
All right, so Connor's not going to make a bet. I'll drop it.
Konner, last time you did this, man, the comment section really came after you.
Well, what would your bet be? For the ace or against the ace?
Well, if you said 4, I would say against.
Konner, there's going to be an ace.
Might be. How many was there last year? 2?
That's what I'm saying.
Smaller field, though.
Yeah, but more talented field.
No, same amount of talent.
No, the field's gotten better. And as we cut the fat,
all right,
there's still the top end.
By a little bit.
I'll play whatever. I'll play in your little game, Trevor. If you want to win, you can win.
No. All right. Well, I don't want to make the bet.
All right. Here's what I'll bet.
I'm not gonna make.
I'll bet 30 points to no one. There's an ace.
No, it's all right.
Well, we can do.
Not crazy.
We can do.
I'd be down to 100 points.
We can do like. How many points are you back from me?
6.
We can make it a small bet. Like it doesn't have to be like
we'll just do like 5 points.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you're on. I'll say 5 points. There's no aces, and you say.
And just the MPO field.
Just MPO.
Just MPO.
Just MPO.
All right, Konner, easy 5.
Maybe.
Congratulations. There's definitely gonna be an ace.
There's very likely not going to be an ace.
Yeah, I mean.
I would strongly disagree.
There was only 2 last year.
Yeah, and we didn't cut the field in half. So that means at least 1.
Statistics. I was like, that doesn't help it.
There's only 3 rounds last year.
Was there?
No. No idea.
God.
I said it confidently. I think there was. Let me go someone who played last year. Because if there's only 3 rounds and they're going to play it about the exact same amount of times.
I will listen.
They did make Hole 8 harder 2 years ago, and I'm sure it's still at that same difficulty. There's only 3 rounds last year.
Well, here's what I'll say. I realize I'm on the worst side of this bet, but I'm just trying to spice it up and get points.
I get it. You're just going to be down. So Trevor is effectively down 11 now. Let's just keep that in mind going into this weekend. For all intents and purposes.
We'll see.
This is one of the classic courses on tour. I'm very excited for this event. I think it fits well into the playoff event just because of the prestige around it. But Brody brought up a good point about the courses and playoff events in general. You start the season off much more open style golf. Mm-hmm. So a lot of players earn their living, earn their points out there, right? And then as it comes to East Coast, you get more and more wooded. And now you're essentially at like the most wooded stretch of the tour, if you want to call it that. Like Northwoods, obviously, like there's some courses that are way more wooded than what we just played at GMC and what we're about to play at MVP. But he said that him and Ezra were talking about it. And that was a good point. The playoff events fit a certain style of play that you haven't seen a lot of the tour. So do you think that the playoff events going forward should cater to premier events like they are right now, like GMC and MVP, where the event already has prestige and they're just adding to it? Or should they try to be
more balanced,
more indicative of the whole tour so that a player who is better in the Open and had really good finishes there
right now
doesn't get cut?
I would say 2 things. Number one, I think that being an Open golf player, like a guy who's just better in the Open, means you're not as good at disc golf.
I would agree.
So, because you're just not as accurate. So you play better in the open field because you throw really far probably, and you're not as accurate.
And you might putt good, but
disc golf, it's not like one part of your, like, accuracy is the most important part of disc golf. So like if you're not accurate and you can't play in the woods, you're just not as good as disc golf.
But then why does woods players not always translate to the Open?
They don't throw as far.
That's it?
I think that's a very big part of it.
I would agree with most of them, but there's got to be people that throw very far.
Think about Drew Gibson. Like, think about how dominant he was at Vegas because he's taking those par 4s and he's chewing them up because they're wide open bomb hyzers. Like that, it's courses like that. It's why like you take Eagle out to like Portland Open last year and he's gonna kill you because he's gonna throw rollers and huge bombs everywhere. And that's a better part of his game than his Woods game because the touch and the accuracy. Now, what I will also say is that the playoffs, I can't believe we've never gotten to be able to make that take before, but like how we've been doing this for so long. But I will say the playoffs are not consequential enough at this point to even care because I care about the event and I think it's cool that there's like a playoff thing going on, but it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters right now is just the jockeying for the top 30 and the play-ins. But there's not really a huge playoff feel to these events. They're just big events because they're popular.
Here's the thing. It's like, I don't want to say I don't like it because it's not super affecting this year, but it could in the future years. The only thing that could affect this year is like Eagle. Eagle has won an event, but he's outside the cut for the play-in event. But therefore, he's in the play-in event if he wants to show up.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at these cuts, we have to like keep that in mind. I believe Eagle's the only one that's true of right now.
Yeah.
But if someone like Tristan Tanner goes off and wins MVP, he's probably close enough that he could actually get in. But you see what I'm saying? Someone could go off and win MVP, be outside the top 36 cut, but be bumping people out. To me, this is just my personal take. If we're going with this play-in event, cut at 36, and you're able to win an event and still suck bad enough to be outside the top 36, you don't belong in the playoffs, personally.
If you're able to... so you're saying...
Like, if I'm someone... Like, if Luke Humphreys would have won Waco, okay, so he gets an additional probably like 15, 20 points.
Yeah.
Okay? He still... If he got 20 points, he'd be in. But he could still be outside the top 36.
Yeah.
Right? If you have that bad of the rest of the season...
Oh, because a win guarantees it?
A win guarantees you in the play-in event. Basically, this play-in event is for people who have wins that haven't made the event or you're in the top 36.
I don't have a problem with that.
I just don't really like it.
Because winning on the Pro Tour is really hard.
Yeah, I agree winning's very hard. But it
didn't happen.
If on Eagle.
Right, but
he didn't play. If he would have played more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, your scenario didn't happen.
But it almost did, and it could very easily.
Yeah, but it could have happened like once, maybe
But
twice.
I'm just saying, like, if someone wins one, and then where's Isaac Robinson?
It's like when a guy wins a major in golf and you get exemption to get back into that major, and it's
back into the same event. I don't mind. Like USDGC, I don't mind. The top 10 from last year, that makes sense to me because you're coming back to the same event.
This is a less important event, the Tour Championship.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Well, it always will be as long as it is
as long as it's a stupid format. Yes.
I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't love the format, but like I was saying, as long as until they make it a round of golf or 4 rounds of golf or something.
In theory, the Tour Championship should be the most important event of the year. That's why my opinion is the Tour Championship should become the World Championship and it should go to the stroke advantage format. That's my opinion on the whole thing. Cool. But that's what I'm saying is like, because this is based on your entire year's performance.
Yeah. No, I've always said that.
And if you have a win and then you have a bunch of like 70th places and everyone beats you by like 10 strokes on average, but you were just really good at your home course or something, I don't think that should get you in.
Well, it
doesn't matter this year.
I have always said that the hardest thing to do is to come first in the Pro Tour standings at the end of the year, and it's the lowest reward.
Yeah, like because people just are, like last year, who won Pro Tour standings? Probably Rick, but I don't know.
I think it was Rick.
But who won the Pro Tour Championship? Nathan Queen. That one's an easy one to remember.
Last seed, yeah. I want to say one more thing about
Ricky did win last year.
One thing that open golf players, I do want to say that they can do really well. That is a skill. I think there is a skill to be able to hit lines when there is no forced line. Like in the woods, I'm much better in the woods because I know what I have to throw. The woods gives me the gap for me a lot of times. It tells me what I need to throw. In the open, you have to learn how to pick spots and hit them without having a forced line a lot of times. So I will say there is a skill to that, but I stand by the point. If you're not good in the woods, it means you're not good enough, as good at disc golf as the guys that are good in the woods.
I think it's a fair point. I think it's fair.
Like
I think some people argue it, but I think it's an overall fair statement.
You just have to get, what I'm saying, Mosey, is you just have to get better at disc golf because disc golf is just hitting lines with accuracy and power. There's not like some trick to the woods.
Yeah. Well, I don't know though, because if you're a flat to Anheuser thrower, I feel like you're going to be better in the open than the woods. I feel like Heiser flip players are better in the woods.
Learn how to that's once again though, it's a skill.
But I'm a Heiser flip player. You're a flat to turnover player.
I wouldn't argue I'm
a better disc golfer.
But I would argue that Paul is a better player throwing flat to turnover than he is Heiser flip, and he still can dominate in the woods. I disagree. The man designed an entire course here where all he has to throw is flat backhands because he knows he's amazing at it.
Yeah, but he
how are you gonna argue with that?
Because the point why he throws so many flat is because that's the shot that he struggled with the most because his natural release is Heiser. He by nature naturally throws Heisers.
Well, anyways, I don't think that.
I only know that because I asked him years ago. I'm like, dude, I suck at throwing flat. He goes, I do too. You have to just, in my head, when I throw flat, I just think I'm like over-exaggerating like Ken Climo. And that's how I throw flat. He said, naturally, I just throw everything on Heiser.
He seems like the best flat thrower in the game.
Well, he probably worked on his weakness enough.
He also, whenever he went to Discraft, he had to really work on throwing flat because the buzzes.
He does throw on slight Heiser.
He said in an interview that the thing with the buzz was that he had to learn how to throw flat because he wasn't used to doing that with his rocks.
Yeah, I think by nature he's a Heiser thrower. Actually, I know because he said
I think everybody by nature is a Heiser thrower.
Not everyone. Not
who by nature is not a Heiser thrower. When you learn to throw disc golf, the hardest thing to learn is to throw the disc flat.
No, but there's some people that just learn to throw flat, like as they get better and better and better. You, I don't think, are a Heiser thrower by nature.
The disc comes out of my hand on Heiser. Just because it's a flat, that means that it's coming out like this and flipping up.
But that's how Paul throws flat.
I'm just saying, like,
that's a flat.
The whole
throw.
essence of like throwing flat is not really. I don't know. It's a weird word. I don't know. We're getting away from the point.
Yeah, I would agree that in the woods, a Heiser flip shot is.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's someone who's necessarily better at disc golf. Yeah, it's someone who can throw Heiser flips. And I think they're better in the woods. If that makes sense. That was my whole point when I started.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're good enough, then you should be able to throw both shots with like.
Well, yeah, but throwing Heiser flip, throwing a Heiser flip is a shot shape that's helpful in the woods, but throwing a Heiser flip doesn't help if you throw it right into the trees.
The thing about throwing,
so still accuracy is the number one. Accuracy is important,
but I'm saying a flat to Anheuser player is going to be better in the open.
Who would you say is a flat to Anheuser player on tour right now?
On tour,
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's a thing.
Nico. He's not on tour currently.
Yeah, so there's one, but I can't really think of any others.
Matty O, I feel like throws a lot of flat.
He throws a lot of Heiser flips though. Like I don't think there's somebody.
Everyone throws a lot of Heiser flips because that's like
That's what I'm saying. So like, I don't think like a flat thrower is really like a thing. I mean, I choose to throw them a lot, but like on tour, I think that most of the guys live and die with the hyzer flip. So I think that is the standard.
Okay. Anyway, so this is a decision maker that separates who's making the tour championship. Hopefully that's covered during coverage.
Hopefully.
Like, hopefully they're constantly updating that cut line.
It better be
I don't
now.
expect it to.
It better be now because now it's the legit last chance. So
I expect it to be like mentioned maybe once or twice. I would love to see.
Surely it'll be more than that.
I would love to see like them cut to a putt even in round one and be like, this putt will take. I'm gonna pick someone who's just outside the bubble right now, right? This putt will take Gavin Babcock to 6 under on the round and project him to finish in 33rd, which puts him inside the cut. I would love to hear that. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to hear that.
At the very least, like even if you can't do it live, at the very least after each round, it would be very
I would
easy
definitely.
to update it.
I think that's what will happen. Is I think after the round they'll be like, all right, as of right, if the tournament ended today, this is where the line will be.
That would be something.
That's
good.
fine. I would just really like to. I would like to see it be the storyline of the event because at the end of the day, like who wins this event. Unless it's someone who is like a on the bubble player or it's someone who's like gumming from the play-in event into the actual event, like one of those, who wins it isn't a huge deal.
It's just a little bit odd when you add a playoff theme to an event when like that's probably not going to be super relevant. Like it really should be more. It really should be more relevant who wins MVP Open because it's just a historic tournament, but it might turn into more of like a who's sneaking into the top 30 to get into the tour championship situation.
But I'm saying as a playoff event, I'm okay with that being the storyline. Is like focusing on that cut line because that's going to be more exciting at this tournament. Like it's going to be exciting to see who wins.
I disagree with that. I could care less who sneaks into the top 30 versus who wins.
No, like who wins is going to be exciting, but the story of this event is the cut for the tour championship. That's the whole point of the playoff.
Well,
if not, then why are we doing any cuts at all? Why are we even having a playoff event?
Well, it's not a cut; it's a points situation. So, like,
what does the points do if you're outside of a certain point level?
Yes, but it's not like. All right,
is that not true?
I'm just saying. Like I think,
like that's the cut. You have to be in the top 36, unless you have a win.
Right. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, but like at the end of the day, that will all be decided more than likely with like an hour to go left in the event. Like the storyline of the event is still gonna be who wins. Like I'm not gonna care nearly like the tour championship is great and all, but like the guys that are coming in the play and whatever, like I'm whatever. Like I'll see the field when I see it, but I'm gonna be much more concerned with who's winning the tournament. It's like one of the biggest pro tours of the year.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if we're calling like the point of the playoffs is this to the tour championship.
I think
is that what I just said wrong?
Yeah, I just don't like. To me, the playoff situation just doesn't have much weight because
so then we shouldn't have playoffs.
It doesn't have much weight because I know that all the players that are truly the really good ones are already in. So
that's where
it would be different if like that's why the tour championship in golf. That's why they play an actual event with a stroke head start because now whoever wins the whole thing. That's how playoffs. Well,
that's what I personally think. That's where I think if it was. Because it would matter a lot more because right now, if Paul McBeth, who's in second, wins, Ricky comes in 10th, Ricky might drop from first down to 7th. What does that do? Nothing. He still has a bye to the semifinals. So there's basically Ricky could not show up and he's not going to drop out of the top 5.
There's just not the best players in the world don't really have stakes for this event other than winning. So.
But if it was a stroke head start, right, then Ricky drops him first to 5th because he plays bad at MVP. Now, instead of being up 1 going into the tour championship, he could be down 3.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they just have to add more advantage to these place shufflings because, like, on the PGA Tour, like you're saying, like, if they do that stroke head start thing, that last event, just like the tour championship in disc golf, they're playing for the most money they're going to play for all season. So they've got that part down. But you're just not handing out a big enough advantage. Like,
I still personally think the bye to the semifinals is equal to a disadvantage.
It's just so just so hard to win.
When's the last time someone won with a bye to the semifinals?
I mean,
has someone?
Dickerson.
I don't think Dickerson had a bye yet. I think he had a bye, but I don't think he was in the semifinals.
He won it twice. And you're saying one of those years he didn't have
I don't know because he wasn't touring back then.
That's true.
So how many points did he have back then? I don't know. I don't know that statement. But I'm just saying what ends up happening, it seems like to me, they fixed it somewhat because previously the players couldn't even practice the course.
Yeah.
But
guys get hot.
And they get tournament hot.
Yeah, the problem is no matter who comes out of the early rounds, they are guaranteed to have momentum because they have just won, 2 in a row to get there, potentially 3 if they were in the play-in. So, like, they're no matter what, somebody's going to come out of there and they're going to be red hot. And now you're going to have to go in tournament cold and try and beat them when they've just played that course in a tournament setting 3 times potentially and they're ready to kick your butt. Like, does not seem like it. Yeah, technically in its advantage because you do get money going for that buy.
And also you only have to beat them once to get into the finals.
Right. But they're red hot. And like
momentum wise, it's not shocking that someone like Nathan Queen can do it.
And once they get to you, they're not thinking, oh, I already had to play 2 events. It's a level playing field. It's me versus you, 18 holes. Like that. It's very, that part of the event is
it creates an exciting event by all means.
It's exciting, yeah.
But I don't like it for the Tour Championship because like Ricky works his tail off or Paul, whoever comes out on top as number 1 after MVP. They work their tail off all year. And then all they get is like, they get an award for being the Tour champ, like the Tour points winner. Yeah. But then it's like, you don't really get anything. You get the same advantage as the guy who came in 8th that you're up by 320 points.
As we talk about this, I do realize that we are on a sinking ship because the Pro Tour is obsessed with the bracket thing. And I think a lot of disc golf is, so we'll never win this one.
That's fine, but I'll still call it stupid every year.
Yeah,
because
we're gonna die on this hill.
Here's my best argument. Ricky Wysocki has 968 points. Matteo has 650 points, and you're giving them the same quote-unquote advantage.
Yeah.
If you even want to call it that.
Yeah. Matteo has 0 wins.
Ricky
Rick has
has absolutely bullied Matteo this season, points-wise. Regardless of how they've been recently, points-wise, Ricky has bullied Matteo.
He's got 4 more wins.
And they have the same advantage, technically.
Yeah, it's just not good enough.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Ricky should go into this final event, be playing a normal tournament, and have like a 3 or 4 stroke head start on Matteo.
And what's crazy is, the crazy thing is too, like, think about the lead he has over a guy that is going to get to the semis with him, level playing field once he gets there, and is red hot. And how many more points Ricky got than that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I understand there is an advantage to having a head start, but just because you've got 1 less chance to mess up or 2 less chances to mess, but like, by time it gets to you, by time you step foot on the first tee, there is no advantage. Whereas if we did a stroke head start system, going into the first tee, you have your earned advantage, and you can still lose.
Absolutely,
we just saw it.
Rory McIlroy,
won. Yeah, but you have an advantage, and you've earned that. A very direct correlation.
Well, this is the thing. Disc golf being different than golf is great in a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that make sense. Hey, let's not do what golf did. Makes more sense. The courses we play, the way we need to structure events. There's a lot of things, but there's also a lot of things. It's like, hey, you know what? Golf's been doing this for a long freaking time, and they got certain things figured out.
The stroke head start thing, they literally just implemented that's what I'm saying. Years, but
they've went through all of these different things. They've made mistakes. They've figured it out, and they've ironed out to get a really good format. All we have to do is go, that was entertaining. Let's do it.
Yeah, they wanted to make
pretty simple.
They made a format where your finishing place in the standings is incredibly important because a stroke or 2 in golf is huge. And then they also changed it to where, because in their situation, it used to be whoever had the most points at the end won. So like a guy who came in 3rd at the last event could win, but they wanted to make sure that the guy who wins the event won the whole thing.
What that also does is MVP, which obviously we're talking through, it adds playoff events now mean a little bit more because it's more chance to earn points. It's your last chance to earn points, and the storyline actually matters. Because what I was saying is the storyline of the playoff event should be who's getting into the Tour Championship. But because that's so far down the list and it doesn't really affect even like it could affect like Kevin Jones could jump into the bye for the semifinals or something like that. But beyond Kevin Jones, I mean, Chris Clemens is 60 points out. Kyle Klein's almost 100 points out.
Yeah, probably not.
So there's a few jumps that can happen within it, but more or less, like Trevor said, you're going to know where people stand within their bracket with like an hour left in the final round. Maybe even before that.
Yeah.
So that is a solid point where like what should be the story of a playoff event, which is the jockeying for position of the overall points, turns into this is just another event and then we'll just kind of see where we're at after. Yeah. And it takes like then what's the point in the playoff? That we cut it to 72 and then had Monday qualifying so that for some reason more people can get in?
I think, that's the word. Yeah, don't even start on that. Like, let's have a playoff event that's so exclusive, but then let's have qualifying for it for like guys that haven't played all season. That doesn't make any sense. No. I think that, and I hope that the Pro Tour is just easing into this situation, like testing waters, because that's typically what they do with changes. But I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the players. That's whose feedback is going to matter. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine many players like the qualifying situation.
No, it doesn't. Well, the players that got in do.
Well, yeah.
But last year we saw Adam Hammes and Katrina Allen take down the MVP Open. It seems to be a tournament that like.
How funny is it to add qualifying to a tournament that already has qualifying? Like the qualifying was, you play on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, the qualifying is get
like,
good, son.
Let's add another qualifying to the other qualifying.
Yeah, it's like, but you're outside the top 72, but you live an hour from the course. You still want to play?
And like the USDGC.
You can play the B tier that happens there next weekend.
USDGC qualifying, like, I get that one a little bit because that is not a cumulative points qualifying system. It's you have to finish really high at a certain event, and I don't mind it because it is like supposed to be a U.S. Open, and that's kind of the theme of like open events. And I don't mind it because Innova hand picks the qualifier events, so you could have a top 3, for example, at DDO, a huge event, and not get a qualifying spot just because they didn't pick that one. So I don't mind qualifying for that event before anybody points that out. This one is different because it's cumulative points, so you had a very fair chance to earn it throughout the year, incredibly fair, the most fair. And then they were like, let's add another qualifying system.
Yeah. As we look at this event, one thing I found very interesting is UDisc has this win probability, which has been, for the most part, pretty accurate.
They're memeing with the win probability this time.
But win percentage-wise, Matty O has the highest percentage chance to win MVP Open. Here's what I'll say. MVP Open statistically, previously, has had several random winners have snuck in.
I just want to know what stats they're using because they took a guy who has not won all season long on the Pro Tour, and they're like, yep, he has the best chance of winning. The guy who hasn't won yet has the best chance of winning.
It doesn't make a lot
that
of sense.
Doesn't make
He has a 17% chance. Ricky and Paul have a 16%, and then C-Dick has 12.
How are you not going to take a guy like Rick, who won or came second last year at this event and just won the last one, or Paul, a guy who has won this 3 times?
I think 3 times, yeah.
Like, what are we? Why would you like? And here's the only thing that could even explain that pick is like Matty O is due for a win, but that's not a statistic.
No,
there's no statistic that's like, oh, a guy is due for a win.
This sounds like somebody was like, okay, well, if you look at anything, this really makes sense that Matty O would win this event.
I think I don't think anyone's looking at this. I think it's just data, baby.
It's data, but I don't know.
I don't understand how looking at
I don't
data
know how
you
can't argue Common Core math.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how could the data see that a guy who has had a 0% win rate this year and say he has the best chance of winning? That's the part.
What math shows?
I want to know what their math is.
We'll just have to see after the tournament's over. Matty O's champion, man. On FPO, we have Kristen Tarr with a 61%.
I thought you were still on MPO, and I was like, what is that top 3 percentage for Matty O?
Top 3 for Matty O is 43% chance.
That's fine.
59% chance top 5, 81% chance top 10.
I don't have a problem with that. It's maybe what's happening is his top 5 and top 3 percentage is so good that it's directly translated to think, oh, he has a good chance of winning because he's so consistently in the top 5 and top 3.
And that's a good point.
But that is why that actually makes a lot of sense. But the problem is that's why sports can't always just be explained by numbers, because winning sometimes.
Say what you just said again.
Sports can't always be explained by numbers.
No, about how winning, being in the top 3. Why does it make sense?
Matty O probably has a very high probability to come top 3 and top 5 because he has this year.
Yeah, okay.
So that's probably why the system is like, oh, well, then in that case, he probably has a good chance of winning because
maybe his consistency in those spots has made it seem like he's gonna.
Yeah, because like think about it, if he has
since Idlewild, he's went 6th, 5th, 7th, 3rd, 4th, 2nd.
So yeah, so like that. But the problem is, like I was saying, the numbers, like winning time is different. And like Matty O has not proven himself to be a guy who is going to get himself into play in the 4th round or whatever, the final round, and then win. He just
First place is very different than second or third place.
Exactly.
First weekend,
it's
baby.
A different thing. And I'm not
Roll Tide.
Matty O, like I love Matty O, and I think that he is probably due for a win. I've stuck by the Matty O can't win take all year, and I've gotten this far. So I'm going to stay with it. Matty O can't win.
My deepest heart desire is for him to win. I want him to win really badly.
On FPO, we have Kristen Tarr with a 61% chance at winning.
Accurate.
Kind of low.
I'd maybe make it higher. Yeah.
Kind of low. Paige Pierce, 9% chance. Kind of high. Just kidding. Katrina Allen, 7% chance. Owen Scoggins, 6. Kristen, I mean, at this point when Kristen walks onto a course, it's like her tournament to lose.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Actually, let me look. Surprisingly far down here is Henna Blomers at only 4%. Because Henna's been kind of on one recently. But basically, it's Kristen.
They might as well give Kristen an 80% chance to win.
Yeah, it's Kristen's. I just said that. Kristen's percentage. Yeah, it's basically Kristen until I die. You know what I'm saying? Points going into this tournament. Remember, 1.5 points for playoffs. It's going to
really mess us up if she loses. We're just going to be like, what do we even do?
Trevor has bet 5 points that there's no aces.
That's going to be wild if nobody aces whole 8. That's definitely not happening. But you know what? I put myself out there.
Going into this, 1.5 points for playoffs. I have 136.5 points. Konner has 95. Trevor has 89.
I love how I finally got close, like within striking distance, and I was like, let's make a dumb bet.
Yeah. Hey, it could happen.
Could happen. I mean, like I said.
And that would bring you within 1.
I think there was only a few last year, so like, whatever.
Speaking of aces, we got to talk through this really quick. Have y'all seen this $1 million shot thing?
Oh, yeah. I was figuring you would bring that up.
Yeah, so basically, this roofing company, I believe someone said that they basically, how it works is they're going to have 8 men and 8 women. Okay. 8 men on Thursday, 8 women on Friday. Immediately following the round, the live broadcast is going to continue with this $1 million shot. And the 8 men are going to go to the hole 1's tee, and there's going to be a basket 600 feet down there. So it's downhill, 600 feet away. If anyone aces it, they get $1 million. And then FPO is 450 feet down
each,
there.
Right?
They have 3 tries each. FPO is 450 down there. If anyone aces that, $1 million.
FPO might have a better shot.
I would say so.
Electric.
So basically, how it works is
somebody's gonna spit out dead center.
And this is how it works in golf too, I believe. Is like this roofing company basically goes to an insurance agency, pays the insurance agency a certain amount. I heard I think someone said at the beginning of the year, Steve Dodge was on Smashbox or some podcast and said that it was like $10,000 for the policy. I don't know if it was $10,000 for MPO and FPO or $10,000 total that this company paid.
That is so cheap.
And basically, the insurance, it's basically like they're betting with the insurance company where the insurance company's like, I'll take your $10,000 and if someone hits it, we'll pay them $1 million.
I know that like typically golf courses, like even like for like local tournaments, you'll see them throw a car behind, and what they'll do is they'll say, hey, as the car dealership, or sometimes they'll pay it out of pocket, but a lot of times they'll be like, hey, as the car dealership, you guys pay for the insurance policy and we'll let you put your dealership sign in front of this nice car behind this hole. And cars are like reasonably affordable because, you know, you can put like a $30,000, $40,000 car, a golf hole in one. If you pick the right par 3, just not happening. Like really, really low odds. This one, if they really only had to pay $10K for $1 million payout, like, I know the shot is improbable. We're talking about $1 million.
I don't think the shot's nearly as improbable as...
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what they hustled them.
I think the insurance agency might have been duped a little bit. Because...
They just said they were playing golf.
Well, if you go 600 feet flat ground, sure, not happening.
Yeah, for sure.
No way.
But hole 1, that's probably going to play like 400-some for the MPO. And 450, that's probably going to play around 300 feet for FPO.
It'll play a little further. But
maybe
still,
well, that's a pretty big downhill.
And $1 million, that's a lot
crazy.
of money.
There was fan voting. I saw Simon share it. It told us who was already in, and then you could vote to see who could get in. Let me pull. You can't see the poll results, but I can pull this up.
Here's the question. Let's say we were looking at a throw and we were looking at the FPO throw. So like we can get it there.
Yeah.
A pump, but like it's very doable. And each throw costs $100. Are you taking any?
I told Brody. Brody asked me this question. He said, he said from 450, how much are you paying to be in the event for a chance at $1 million? And I said, he said, like, what's the most that you would consider?
So you get 3 tries.
You'd get 3 tries. He said, what's the most you would consider? And I said $1,000. What's the most I'd consider?
Definitely not $1,000 for me. I would.
Yeah.
Brody said like 500 for him. But he was thinking the 600 foot for him.
I mean, it'd be like $100.
Well, because 450, it's downhill, 300 foot shot, and I have a chance at $1 million.
I think I would try it one time because if it's going to go in.
No, you pay for the three chances though.
Oh, for 3 chances, I would probably
you're paying
to
be in the FPO event. You're paying to be throwing 450.
Maybe like $150 to $200 because it would be like if it's going to happen, then it's just magic. Like it's fate.
So the men who are already in, they use this UDisc precise power index, which
is that actually up yet? Is that stat up?
Let's just go to a player stat.
Because I'd be curious to see how this works. The idea behind the stat is it measures how well people throw with power and accuracy combined.
Precise power index. Paul is 12th.
Oh, I've got to know who's like the best in the precise.
How do we see this
index.
thing?
How is Paul in 12th?
It must be something. Well, we can go based on.
I guess he kind of sprays.
Men, we have Albert Tam, Calvin Heimberg, Jake Ebenheimer, Ricky Wysocki, Kyle Klein, and Anthony Barella are in. Women, we have Natalie Ryan, Paige Pierce, Hannah Blomroos, Evelina Salonen, Kristen Tatar, and Emily Beach already in.
I'll tell you this for free. AB's about to be a millionaire, dude. He's going to be throwing a putter.
How do you go? Can I go to I can just go stats here and then sort by PPI. There it is. So the top PPI is Albert Tam.
So it's a broken statistic.
It's definitely a broken statistic. Do they have an explanation?
If Albert Tam and
Jake Ebenheimer is third in the world in this PPI. It makes no sense.
That doesn't make any sense. You're taking if this is truly supposed to measure who throws far with accuracy, like
how's Drew Gibson so far down?
Yeah, how are you gonna have
Garrett Gerthy's way down there?
Like what?
Brody Smith's way down there. I wonder if Jake Ebenheimer only played like one event.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, what are the limitations on the stat? Because it seems a little broken.
No, he's played a bunch.
He actually had a decent season.
I mean, he's 42nd in tour ranking, so semi.
Maybe how bad has his putting been? That's the question that we need to be asking. Is it really bad?
Circle 1 putting 75%.
Okay, so it is really bad. So
Pretty
maybe
bad.
Okay, what is Albert Tam's? Is his bad too?
73%.
Okay, never mind. Then maybe the stat does probably have some legitimateness.
Well, but let's see what Jake's putting. Circle 1 in regulations, 42%. He's up there with the other people.
Okay, so maybe it's not quite broken. It just shows how important putting is.
Maybe. Yeah, he's only 19% circle 2.
Okay.
Jake, is he the guy that cornhole putts?
Yes.
Oh, well, no wonder.
Guys, look how far up Silas Schultz
is. This is where you could be. You could be third in the world right now if your putting was okay.
All right, so I get it. I can get behind it a little more because it just some bad putters.
Silas Schultz, man, 61% circle 1x putting.
Not a good putter.
Come on, dude.
But no, that's actually a great thing for him because he's playing really good disc golf. So that means he's got huge ceiling.
That's true. Get it together, man.
That's why. Is he like? I'd be curious to know, like, of the guys that are like top 50 in the world, which of them are the worst putters?
Silas Schultz by far. 1, 2, 3, 4,
he's not
5th.
top 50 in the world, is he?
I don't know.
I think he's like 70 something.
He's the 6th. Yeah, you're right. He's the 6th worst putter on tour.
And he's
I think he's
like 72nd in the world.
And he's qualified for your USDGC.
So that's.
I'll scroll down a little bit.
Those are the guys you got to keep an eye on. The guys that suck at putting. Because putting.
I just assumed he was a good putter because of how many of like his like reels that I see of him putting.
Putting takes like a little bit of skill for a pro. Like they're all pretty skillful at throwing a disc. It just takes all mental games, so they can make it click, man.
Yep.
I'm trying to find we're getting to more notable
names.
Where's
Brody at on this list? Did you pass him?
Certainly not. No, he's
what if we started like a segment where we incentivize
Ezra?
pros?
I think Ezra, Chandler, Kramer. They're at 76% C1X putting. That's probably like the worst of the top players.
What if we started like a segment where we find a way to get in touch with and incentivize pros? So if this would be perfect for Silas Schultz, we're just like, hey man, like you get that putting percentage for MVP at 80% C1X, then we'll send you blank. Like that would just be really funny if
we'll send you
$20.
Like
we'll give you $1 million.
No, like it's not money. Like we're gonna send him an object.
I don't know what you could possibly send someone. Are we sending him a car? He already won a car.
No,
playing disc golf.
I'm just thinking that. I just think it'd be funny.
20% is it like they already want to increase their putting, so it had to be something they really want. So we'd have to spend a lot of money.
I mean, obviously their incentive isn't only that. Their incentive is playing good disc golf. But like,
I'm saying I'm just thinking
about somebody who would. I'm just thinking about somebody who would like be willing to play along with someone like that, like Silas Schultz, where he was goofy like that, where we'd be like, dude, we'll make you a T-shirt that says whatever you want or something. It was funny in my head. I don't want to talk to you guys anymore.
Let's do some predictions here. MPO, I'm going with the stats, baby. I'm riding with UDIS till I die. Matteo wins this thing. Ricky second. Paul third. Can't argue with data.
Konner. I like the suspense of going last. Hunter's picks don't matter to me.
I picked Chris, Ricky, Paul.
Chris first?
Yep.
not great, but actually kind of good. Because I have Calvin in first, then Ricky and Paul.
That's interesting.
So we can only split on, because Chris came 10th at that, or no, I think he was worse than 10th. I think he was like 17th at MVP last year.
Paul came 12th at MVP last year.
Yes, but he's won it 3 times.
I'm just saying if we're going on last year. I'm just
saying like I was and Chris, like, I don't know. I'm not Calvin. Chris and Calvin is due.
I'll side with Konner here. Seems like a tournament Chris is going to do very well at.
It did to me too, and then I saw how bad he played there last year, and I was like,
He's better this year than he was last year.
Have you looked at his historical farther back?
I disagree. I think he was better last year.
No, he's way better.
FPO Konner.
I have the obvious pick of Kristen for first place, and then I have Own, and then Henna.
Okay, so same. We have the same situation here because I have Kristen, Evelina, Henna. So we have 2 different spots on our MPO and FPO, but that could be a big shift.
I couldn't roll with the stats here because Paige and Kat broke my heart last week. So even though the stats tells me they have the best shot, knocked them out. I hope they prove me wrong. I'm going Kristen Tatar, Missy Gannon second, Henna Blomroos third. So we all have Kristen and Henna bookmarked, and then someone in between.
Yeah,
I went Missy. Missy, I feel like has been.
You almost had.
Silas is busting up over there.
We almost had a very similar thing. If you would have had Paul in second, then we would have had like the same situation going, where we had one different slot for each of our.
No, y'all. Because we all have Ricky Paul, second, third.
Oh,
do you want Paul second?
So we literally all have the same exact thing with like one person different on each one.
And you know what's gonna happen? Mattio's gonna win.
I hope he does.
Dark horse
picks. Hope that Mattio wins.
Dark horse picks. I'm going with the guy that got me here in the first place, riding with him on the last Pro Tour event, Mr. Austin Hannum. He's the reason I am up by so much.
Yeah, you want to make a crazy bet?
No.
I've got Gavin Babcock.
I tried making a crazy bet earlier, and y'all wouldn't do it.
I really need Gavin Babcock to come through for me here because the dark horse pick is very important this week.
I've got Matt Bell.
They might all get cut.
So Connor's got Matt Bell, and you said who again, Trevor?
Gavin Babcock. I need to see Gavin Babcock that showed up at Worlds and was in it. That's what I need.
Gavin Babcock. All right, well, there you have it. That is the MVP Open preview with a bunch of different rants thrown in there to where we only talked about MVP for probably 10 minutes to the 45. That's how we do it here at Grip Lock. That's why we call it Grip Lock, you know? You never know where the shot's going to end up when you grip lock it, and you never know where the show's going to end up when you start it.
That's all right.
So you can watch the MVP Open live on the Disc Golf Network. That's where we'll be watching it. You can watch it on Jomez, Gatekeeper, GK Pro. I'm sure other people will be out there. UDisc Live. Going to be a lot of. I don't think Sun King's out there. Going to be a lot of different.
We're sending Konner out there.
Yeah.
Foundation Disc Golf.
Konner's going to be doing 7th card coverage.
Yeah. Shooting all with GoPros.
All with GoPros. Going to be electric. No, that's not true. And if you haven't, be sure to check out FoundationDisc.com, our recently restocked collection, and the vintage collection coming this weekend alongside the brand new Athena. You're not going to want to miss out. We'll talk to you again on Monday.
Bye.